Hi, everybody, and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles, and on this episode, we're talking about Kota Ibushi. In case you haven't noticed or haven't read, Kota Ibushi has went on a long Twitter tirade just a day or two ago about New Japan Pro Wrestling, and specifically a gentleman named Kikuchi, who he's had problems spending back to 2018 when Kikuchi, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, when Kikuchi worked in the merchandise department, where Kota felt like he didn't get the money he deserved. I've also heard rumors that the same gentleman, Kikuchi, when working in that department, had issues with the Young Bucks as well for the same reason. Since then, he's moved into a management position, a talent relations area. We've seen Kota Ibushi basically ask for his release, and depending on what report you're reading, he's either been granted it or they're strongly considered granting it. He's alleged some pretty hefty things. Allegedly, this is all alleged. This is not none of my. When it comes to this, all alleged. Not my opinion on it. Allegedly. He's alleged harassment. He's alleged that New Japan has asked him to come back early from injuries or set timetables that he didn't think were fair for him to come back. He's alleged, obviously, that he wasn't paid when he should have been paid. And probably the biggest, but to me not the most shocking, he's alleged or hinted at connections with the Japanese Yakuza and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and being willing to out all of this. I say not surprising because the Yakuza has long been rumored to be part of Japanese pro wrestling and involved in it. I know Sabu talked about it with FMW. I've heard him mention FMW being involved with the Yakuza. I forget whose book it was in. It was either Jericho or Foley's. One of their books was talking about Inoki having to run in with a Yakuza member who smacked him, and he basically had to say thank you. Allegedly. All allegedly. These are stories I've heard. I wasn't there. I don't know that this is true. I'm just going off of rumors. But anyway, to me that's why it's not surprising, but it's also the most salacious, because it's going to be the one in Japan that moves the most tabloids, I guess you could say, gets the most clickbait. Kind of like this video. This video is strictly for clickbait, and I wanted to talk about this because I am very much invested in the New Japan Pro Wrestling product, as far as it's my favorite wrestling company. Kota Ibushi is a wrestler I love. I think he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's easily in my top 10, maybe in my top 5 if I really think about it. But I think he's one of the most talented wrestlers there is, and I love every match that I see him in. It feels like he has a vendetta against his own neck and wants to find a way to break it, much like Darby Allin wants to find a way to end his career early. But that being said, he is a fantastic, fantastic wrestler. What I'm going to speculate on here is what is next for him. What is going to happen with Kota Ibushi? The main thing, and I think this is the most likely prospect, is him working out a deal with New Japan. Either working where he doesn't have to work with Kikuchi, or maybe now that New Japan has somewhat newer management, maybe they'll listen to him about what he's alleging and fire Kikuchi, possibly. I know in America, if this was Roman Reigns versus Vince, Roman would be gone. However, if it was Roman Reigns versus Johnny Ace might be the guy going, because Roman Reigns is the guy making you the money. Just saying, just my opinion. I think there's a door. I don't know that it's fully 100% broken. That would be my thing. I think he eventually works it out and stays in New Japan, kind of hope for that as well. I kind of love seeing him in the New Japan product. I think it's the product that's most fit for his talents. But let's talk about some other things that are possible. Let's say he is either fired or going to be fired from New Japan. The obvious choice would be AEW. I mean, one of his good friends, Kenny Omega, is an EVP there. He was a big part of the build to build up what eventually became All In and what led to All Elite Wrestling. However, I'm going to lump Impact Wrestling in here too. I think the ties between All Elite and Impact and New Japan are too fragile for them to take on a guy that New Japan considers persona non grata. I don't know that New Japan would be willing to work with AEW if, let's say, Kota Ibushi goes nuclear and causes a big stink for New Japan. They're not going to be willing to work with either AEW or Impact. And I know AEW and Impact both value their partnership with New Japan, both for talent exchanges, both for, build up. I know they AEW just signed a deal to put their show on New Japan World for Japanese people to watch. The Forbidden Door is going to be a big time pay-per-view with AEW and New Japan working together. Same with Impact. They work hand in hand with New Japan. So I don't know if that's a great landing spot for him. It might be. In a perfect world, he goes and he reforms the Golden Lovers with Kenny Omega. They get a tag team run. He gets a world title there. But, like I said, if he's fired from New Japan, does Impact or AEW threaten their business partnership to bring this guy in? The next obvious thing, or somewhat obvious, would be WWE. Of course WWE would be interested. The thing with it is, are they going to do Kota, I'm still thinking of Mega Ibushi. Are they going to do Kota Ibushi correct? He has to look at that roster and look at Shinsuke Nakamura as the closest thing to him that they have. His best case scenario is Shinsuke Nakamura. His worst case scenario is Kushida, who went there, had a little bit of success in the NXT brand, but now has basically gone back and been released. Somewhere probably in the Asuka role, where we know Ibushi has had some injury issues. So let's say he takes an injury. Does he kind of get lost in the fold like Asuka has? He's going to have the same things that are negative for Shinsuke Nakamura are also going to be negative for him. Does WWE pull in a high price free agent like Ibushi that's basically going to fit the same role that Shinsuke Nakamura already fills? And I don't know that they do that. I don't know that they offer him a big deal, especially knowing if he burned his bridge with New Japan, if that bridge burning also burned AEW and Impact bridges, do they go and work with him? I don't know. I think there'd be interest on WWE side. I know he said in the past that he doesn't want to leave Japan, so I'm not sure there's interest on his side. But it would be intriguing. I would love to see Ibushi versus Roman Reigns, Ibushi versus Randy Orton, Ibushi versus Riddle, Ibushi versus Austin Theory. I think there are some great matches to be had there. I just don't know that it works out for either side perfectly. Now, other than thinking he'll stay in New Japan and work something out, the next thing that makes the most sense to me would be going back to DDT. I think he could go to DDT, be the guy that he was there. He comes in as a conquering hero. He's the ace of DDT again. I think it's a soft landing spot, but it's one that's probably the most logical landing spot for him. Maybe he stays in DDT till the New Japan issues blow over, or at least blow over enough that he goes to AEW. But I do think DDT is a soft landing spot. On the same token, if he wants to make a huge splash and shake up the wrestling business, he'll sign with either All Japan or Noah. To me, that's the way to go. If you go nuclear on New Japan, you got to go to their two biggest rivalries. And I know DDT is somewhat big in Japan, but All Japan has the history. All Japan and New Japan have been a rivalry for the better part of 50 years. Noah has been a rivalry with both, and I know they've worked together, but Noah at times has risen above New Japan, especially in the Misawa days of Noah. Does Kota Ibushi see going to Noah and bringing that back to prominence to make it either the top company in Japan or the secondary company in Japan? Is that an issue that he wants to tackle? Does he want to bring All Japan back to prominence? If he goes to All Japan, to me, that would be the equivalent of somebody like Randy Orton going to AEW in America. It would be a big deal for All Japan. It would be a huge get. So maybe that's a route he takes. Maybe he sticks a knife in just a little bit more in New Japan. I'd like to see it there. If I'm gonna rank where I think, I'm gonna go by the companies. I'm gonna do this quickly. This is a percentage I think of it happening. New Japan Pro Wrestling, I say there's a 50-50 shot he goes back there. AEW, I say there's a 33% chance he goes there. I know they would want him. I don't know that they would want him if it severs their ties to New Japan. Impact, same boat, 33% chance. If there was no ties to New Japan, it would be 100% that they would want him. WWE, I say there's a 15% chance. It's a little bit above 10%, but I don't think he wants to go to WWE. Whereas AEW and Impact, he can still live in Japan, still work Japanese shows, and come in for shots there. That's where I'd say the difference between the two is. DDT, probably a 50-50 shot. If New Japan doesn't pan out, I think he's got a 50-50 shot of going to DDT. Noah, again, I'd say about 20% chance he goes there. And I know it doesn't all add up, but this is, just percentages of him going to each individual company. All Japan, I'd say about the same as Noah, or slightly better, I'd say 25%. It depends on what he wants. And there's always the option that he retires, or takes a year off and comes back healed and ready to take over again. It's a very interesting story. I'm excited to see where it goes. I really hope that he works out things with New Japan and he stays there, because I want to continue seeing him, and I want to continue seeing him with the best talent in the world. I love seeing him versus guys like Okada, versus Naito, versus Tanahashi. All of the matches that are there, Takagi, Taichi even. There's some great matches he could still have in New Japan, and I think that's the best fit for him, in my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments what do you think he's going to do next, where he's going to go to. Hit the like button, hit the share button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you made it all the way to the end, let me know you watched all the way to the end. Put golden star in the comments. With that being said, my name is George Coles, and this is I guess you could say, this is me talking about Kota Ibushi's future.